I'm Rebecca of Rebekah Ann Jewellery. I'm an independent jeweller based down in Brighton. My journey into life of being a jeweller started 16 years ago at evening class in my hometown of Oxford. I completely fell in love, so I gave up my day job, went to university in London and studied jewellery, silversmithing and allied crafts at the Sir John at the Cass. And then after finishing my course, I realised that I wanted to work within the industry to gain inside valuable knowledge and information and additional training while I got paid. I did go on and do a week-long intensive business course for jewellers at Central St Martin's, which was really interesting and actually turned out to be extremely valuable. It helped me with getting employed work and actually now helping me with my own business. So I've been completely self-employed now for just over a year, and I started my business just over 3 years ago now with the encouragement from my old bosses, which was really nice. And it's been quite a journey. And anybody who's looking or thinking about going into their chosen field as a freelancer, tip number one really is to at least do a year, if you can, employed. You get to know all the inside information, you get to meet people, you get to learn actually whether you would like to stay employed with somebody for a little bit longer. You have the added bonus that you have got guaranteed money coming in, so you can either put a little bit aside each month to help you out when you go to start your business. Because you're going to need money to start your business. There's lots of different ways that you can do that. So that's one of my top tips is to get employment. And sometimes it's quite interesting to try out a couple of different job roles within your chosen industry. So for me as a jeweller, I got a job as a repair specialist within a, I got a job as a repair jeweller based down on the south coast, and I learnt an awful lot. It's one thing knowing how to make a piece of jewellery, but it is another entire skill set knowing how to repair it. So that was really good. And then I went on and had employment with 2 award-winning jewellers, which I got to do making the jewellery, but I also got to learn a lot about business. So that when I came to start my business 3 years ago, I had knowledge from having attended a business course for jewellers at Central St Martin's over a summer term, and also actual within a business and learning the best ways or best practice, or sometimes not best practice. So those have been really valuable for me. So if you're going to go and be a freelancer, and when you're ready to start your business, the way I did it was that I slowly reduced my hours. So I went down to 4 days a week. So I was working 1 day a week for myself, 4 days employed. And that way it meant that I could test the water of my business, see how things were going while I still had some money coming in, so that I knew that my rent was covered. And I slowly the 4 days employed went down to 3, went down to 2, and then I went completely self-employed. So if you are going to be a freelancer, to begin with, you're going to need to do everything yourself. So that's accounting, that is pricing up your work, that's all your marketing, your advertising. You need to understand how the website works, what you need to help improve your SEO. You'll be amazed actually how little time we spend on the chosen area. So me, such little time on jewellery compared to all of the admin that goes with the business, and that happens right across the board. And I think it's really key to understand all the different elements that go into it. Even if you eventually do, say, get an accountant to do things, it's good to start off with an accounting system so that you understand what your cash flow is, you understand what your profit loss is, you understand all those things and how important it is to have everything correct. It's also good to do your research and know about your national insurance contributions, about tax, where you register to be self-employed or to have a business. It's all those things are really, really important. It's also a really important part of being a freelancer, I believe, is networking. So meeting people within your chosen field, but also outside of it. So I've been to a number of events to do with digital marketing, to understand that side of things, and also so that I can make contact, so that if I ever have any questions, or if I'm looking for someone to help me out, or to employ someone to help me out with digital marketing side of things, I have now made contacts. It's also good to approach people about being mentors. So it doesn't have to, again, be someone who's within your chosen industry. It could be someone that you admire, someone that perhaps has the size business you're looking to one day achieve, things like that. It can be really useful as well to have a number of different mentors. So I found that really, really useful. Also, a key thing that I do with my business is I have another lady that I meet with once a week, and we set ourselves tasks to do for the week, and it's so that we then have someone to hold us accountable, because when you work for yourself, it can be quite easy to get distracted or go off course. But at least if you make that plan and have someone who's going to question you, be like, okay, why didn't you do that? Why has this been left? I think it's so going back to accounting, it's really important to have that all in order. Make sure you save all your receipts. Make sure that you're uploading them into software such as QuickBooks. Make sure you're doing everything above board. And a really, really great piece of information, or a tip that I was given by an accountant, was fall in love with your numbers. They're your numbers. They're not for the tax man. They're not for anybody else. They're your numbers. So you want to look at them regularly. You want to get to know them. You want to fall in love with them, because basically they let you know if you're doing okay or not. And the accountant, he actually said, they let you know if you can go on your holiday or whether you need to do something to up your income, or whether you need to do something like, okay, I need to pull back in that area and not spend any more money until X, Y, and Z happens. It also shows you where your money's coming in. It also shows you what product is doing better, all things like this, where your greatest cost is there a way that you could perhaps reduce that cost? So yeah, really fall in love with your numbers. They're not a bad thing, they're not for anybody else, they're for you. So if you're wanting to go freelance or start your own business, my top tip, saying that a lot, my tip always is to lots of people, is just start. So don't wait until you have everything perfect, because that will never happen. So just start. Get yourself a business Instagram page. Get yourself, even if it's a landing page of a website, get yourself out there, even if it's just with one product or one service. Once you're out there, you have to work on it. And that's then when you're home in your style, you're home in your niche, and you'll find your customers. And so a really key part of being a freelancer is mindset. You need to stay as positive as you can. You need to stay alert. You need to be on it, and you need to be positive about what you're doing. If you're feeling negative attracts negative, and it's honestly, it's a really, really important thing that's quite often overlooked. I have taken part in the NatWest Business Hub. It's a free scheme which you can sign up to, and it's all business advice, and they have a whole section on mindset and how it really is a key part of business. So really lovely, and part of being a freelancer is you get to pick your own hours, but that can also be a downside. So I recommend having set hours in place that you go and work. You can be flexible because you're your own boss, but if you have them in place, at least you're then not going to have a day where you suddenly turn around and think, I've got 101 things to do in this one day, and it's all because I've put them all off all week. So get yourself a bullet journal, write down your to-do lists, and have daily tasks. So even if you divide up your week, so for me, I have 2 solid days a week making jewellery. I have 1 day a week where I teach jewellery, and then I have the other days where I do all my accounting and all of the admin and photography and all that jazz that goes along with the business, because I really do everything for my business. At the moment, I don't employ anybody else to do anything. I don't outsource any work. It is all me. So everything you see to do with Rebekah Ann Jewellery is done by myself. Some think I'm mad, but I like to have, at the moment, as I'm still in my infancy with my business, I want to see what's working, and as soon as I feel like, okay, more people are responding to that image, or more people are responding to how the website is looking like this, and I can make the direct changes. So another key element with regards to timekeeping and working your hours is to make sure you give yourself time off, because there is the other flip side that you feel that you have to work all of the time and you just burn yourself out. So it's really important to have your downtime. You might want to be flexible on the days, but make sure you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to give myself at least 2 days off a week, because believe me, at the beginning it is easy to get sucked in and work 7 days a week and do crazy hours. And it can be really hard at the beginning to have an income stream, and you feel like you're working for nothing, and it can be really demoralizing. So make sure you give yourself time off and know that it is going to work as long as you do put the work in, but you also give yourself time off. Life-work balance. So when I originally started my business, I set up a little bench at home, and then within 6 months I moved to a creative studio in Brighton called Rodhurst, and I now have a large workshop which I'll show you around at the end of this, and I actually rent out benches to 4 other jewellers. So this is a way to allow me to have a much larger space without having to pay all of the costs myself. But I am the key person in the workshop, so it is my responsibility to make sure the rent is paid. And if someone moves out, I'm the one that is responsible to make up the rent. And having moved out of my home to work here has actually made a big difference. I do work from home some days to do my accounting, but it's good to have a place, I feel, to go out to work. So now, especially in Brighton, there are a lot of collective offices and collective workshops. So you've got places like Platform 9 and the projects where you can go in and hot desk. So you can use a desk for a day, or you can work there full time, and it's a really great way again with connecting up with people. It's really good to be around people sometimes doing certain work. It's like an energy that you feed off of, and you also then feel like you've gone out to work. Because if you work at home, and particularly if you don't have a separate room where you can close the doors at the end of the day, if you are, say, working in your living room, it can be very hard to switch off, because your computer or the area that you work is always calling. You're like, maybe I should be working, maybe I shouldn't be relaxing. So I find that it's good if you can to have a separate place, or at least somewhere where you can close the doors, and that is your workplace, and then you've got your home. So customer service is key to any business. Do not undervalue customer service. Now, the truth be told, more people, if someone has bad service, they are going to tell more people than if they've had good service. But you do not want that negative press or connection. So always be really nice, always be really personable, go out of your way to help people, but know that it's okay to actually say to a customer if they're being rude or not very respectful. It's actually okay to turn and say, actually, I'm not going to be working with you, and this is my reason why. I wish you well with the future. And I have done that twice. One was with a very rude customer, just started out rude, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to help them. I tried to, and then I just realised I was never going to help them, and that actually wouldn't matter what I made, they wouldn't be happy. So I said that we wouldn't be a good fit, and I wished them well with their search. And then I had another lady who was really loving the process of having a piece of jewellery made, but all of the phone calls and the emailing and all of this time eventually meant if I did any more work for her, I would have lost money on the piece. So I had to say, I think we need to hit pause until you actually know what you want, because at the moment we seem to have gone down about 20 different roads and they're all very different designs. And I'm here for when you're ready to have an actual idea to sit down with. And again, it was very nice, but it is really important. Don't take a job just to take a job. They're quite often the ones that cause a lot of difficulty. So earlier I was talking about mindset and how being positive is really important. You need to be excited. It's your creation. And so you want to be really excited. If you're not feeling excited about it, you need to question your reasons why you're doing it. You're going to have down days. There's going to be days where it's going to be like, oh, what am I doing? But it is, if you're passionate about it, and if you know your reasons for doing it, the reasons for going freelance and into your chosen industry, you're going to be feeling good and you're going to be feeling positive. And if you're feeling like you're going down a slope into slight negative, find ways to make you feel more positive. And if you need to, because you work for yourself, that means you can step away from it. It means stepping away from my bench, going for a walk, getting myself a nice coffee, sitting in the sunshine if it's a nice day, taking a deep breath, and then I can come back and tackle whatever needs to be tackled. Be prepared to go on a journey with your business and with work. The jewellery that I designed 16 years ago when I first started jewellery is completely different to what I design now. Even the jewellery that I was making 3 years ago when I started this business is completely different to where I am now. But that's because I was listening to my customers, seeing what they were liking, and building upon that, and also building upon my beliefs. There were certain things that I was starting to feel uncomfortable with within the industry. And so now I have completely switched over and I'm an eco-aware jeweller. So I only use recycled gold. I only use responsibly sourced stones. And I use eco-aware processes, because there's a lot of nasty chemicals in jewellery making, which I've now removed all of those. And so I feel more comfortable in what I'm producing. Also, all of my packaging is now recyclable and compostable, and so I feel now comfortable and at ease with what I'm doing. So that's another thing, you can feel quite torn at times within the industry that you're working within. And so now I've found a place that I feel comfortable and very happy, and it seems to have become obvious to my customers. The more that I believe in myself, I know that my skills are good, because I've been making for such a long time. I teach. There's always more to learn. You're never going to know everything. You're always going to be learning and developing, which is exciting. You don't want to feel stale. But I'm finally feeling confident. I think that's the key word, is confident in myself and what I'm producing, and know that it is good and is of value. And one of the big things is customers will always ask for a discount from people that are freelance, and I don't do discounts because of the way I do business. I don't do wholesale at all. I do drop shipping, which is your sites like Not on the High Street and Etsy, where they are the front, and they take a fee but it's a much smaller fee than wholesale. And that's why it's also good to work within your chosen industry, because you get to understand the industry standard for your area with regards to wholesale price and retail price. Lots of people don't understand what they truly are, and so you can get a lot of issues if you go straight into being freelance and don't understand the difference between wholesale and retail price and how that certain things need to be done. Customers. Another key thing to remember is that not everybody is your customer, and it's really hard to get your head around to begin with. You want to always please people, you always want to be able to help them out, and you want them to, if they, for me, they want a piece of jewelry, I want to be able to give that to them. But if I have priced something accordingly, as hard as it is, I'm not responsible for the customer's side of our transaction. So if they do not have the funds at the moment to be able to buy that piece of jewellery, it's not my responsibility to drop the price to meet theirs. It is a valuable lesson I have learned, because I have done that in the past and lost a lot of money, basically making jewellery at a loss. That is not good business sense. That is, you'll go under within a very short amount of time. So there are a number of things that I've tried with my business and haven't worked out, and it's good to know that failure is okay. Actually, you learn a lot from failure. There were pieces of jewellery perhaps that I was really passionate about, but it turned out other people weren't as passionate. Taking on this workshop was a real risk, and I set it all up. I had my area for my benches that I was going to rent out to other jewelers. I had another area set up so that I could teach here. I had all of this, and then what I had was a fund where I could afford to pay the rent for 3 months. 2 weeks before the end of that 3 months, I had one jeweler in. I didn't have anybody signed up to my classes, and I didn't have the funds to pay my rent. So I came in and I ripped out the benches that were going to be for teaching. I divided the workshop in half, and I advertised half the workshop to rent to anybody within the creative industries. Within those 2 weeks, I filled up the benches and I filled that space. So sometimes you have to make some adjustments to be able to reach your end goal. And also know it's okay that if you break your goal, have like mini sub-goals within an overall goal. So if you're looking to go freelance, there are lots of free information, material and courses out there. And here in Brighton there are quite a few. I did a digital marketing course with the Creative Hub, I think it's called. I've forgotten, which was entirely government funded, which is incredible, and it really helped me to understand more things to do with my website, how things such as the blog will draw in more people, coding. There's a free coding school for women in Brighton. It's a way to encourage more women into the industry. Actually, it's a UK-wide thing now, but you can go along and you can learn to code. People within the industry volunteer, and it's to help you. So I've been along a couple of times just so I understand how the background of a website works, and it's actually turned out to be really, really incredible and really valuable information. So one of the things that I've been learning is don't be afraid to ask. So as I was talking about mentors earlier, approach people that you would like to work for. So how I got the jobs with the jewelry designers was I approached them. I would go in and introduce myself, hand in my CV, and then email that night with a copy of my CV. And I did that 2 or 3 times until one of them caved. but it shows that you're passionate. There's a fine line with harassing and being driven. It's really important to understand legal requirements. So there's a few things that you have to have on your website, which you may already know about, but again, there's lots of information on the Gov website, the government website, for everything that you need to do with business. There are laws and regulations around selling online, like legally you have to offer a refund policy if you sell online. There is no option unless it's a completely customized item. Everything else, you have to give a minimum of 14 days for the customer to be able to return that item. And it can be for any reason. If they don't like it, change their mind, anything like that, you have to give them a refund, which a lot of people don't seem to be aware of, but it is a legal requirement. So just make sure you know all of the things within your industry. Make sure you get insurance, public liability insurance. So with myself, there are industry bodies where I get my insurance as part of my membership. So those are really, you just need to make sure you're covered for every avenue. And with everything that's been going on with COVID-19, I didn't realise that there are actually unions available to people that are self-employed. So I've actually joined a union now, just so I've got some extra support, someone or an organisation I can go to if anything happens, where I've just got a little bit of extra support. And the monthly payments are really, really minimal. So if you're going freelance, you want to make sure that your relationship with all your suppliers is really good. Always pay on time. I know there'll be points where it's difficult, but I can honestly say that I haven't missed a payment, and I have fantastic relationships with all of my suppliers. They're actually people that I have met through my 16 years within the industry, so they know me, and we've already got that good rapport. But now as a self-employed person, I still continue to make sure I work on making sure I always pay them on time, that I'm always in contact with them. And so a little rundown of my top tips. First up, do at least a year's employed within your industry. One, it's going to help you bring in some money. You're going to learn if you like the industry, if it's something you really want to do without having to invest additional money into building a business. When you're ready to start, just start. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Get your Instagram page out there, get a landing page for your website. You don't have to pay for a domain name to begin with. Just get everything out there, then you have to build on it. So that's what I do. I always sort of jump in and then I have to build, because once it's there, people can see it, and so you need to build upon it. Read up on all the things that are legal. Look to having different types of mentors, or at least going to different types of networking events. Check out your local councils, because they quite often have some really interesting information and courses. Anything you can that's going to help you to grow and develop as an individual, that's going to help support your business, is a winning combo. Trust your gut. I didn't listen to my gut one time. I was trying to ignore it, and it was a very costly mistake. Listen to your gut. Honesty. So if something isn't quite working out, be honest with your customer. Great customer service. That is a winning thing. And just love what you're going to do.